Lottoland. Yes, Lottoland could destroy your local newsagent. That's what the posters say. I followed a truck in through the city on my way to work this morning and it was carrying one of those advertising banners, so I thought we'd find out what it was all about. Personally, I haven't heard of Lottoland, so we've found that it is being touted as a betting revolution, in inverted commas. You don't actually buy a lottery ticket, but you effectively bet on what numbers will come up on lotteries all around the world. Now, the newsagents, according to their posters and their advertising campaign, say they might be under threat as a result of Lottoland. But is that really the case? Joining us now to explain is Colin Shipton, who is the General Manager of the South Australian sector of the Australian Lottery and Newsagents Association. G'day, Colin.
G'day, Alan. How you going?
Good, mate. Thanks for joining us. Listen, Lottoland, have I explained how it works properly, that you don't actually buy a lotto ticket, but you bet on the results of a lotto?
Yeah, absolutely. You've done a great job there. They are a online-only bookmakers situation, so very a synthetic lotto, I guess you could say. So companies like Lottoland and Planet Lottery are different to official regulated lottery draws, which companies like TATS or SA Lotteries would run here in South Australia. It's certainly you're betting on the outcome of a lottery draw rather than having tickets in a draw.
Certainly, a case of thinking outside the square, isn't it? What's your major concern, though? But I've got to also preface this, Colin, with it's our understanding that this is not legal in South Australia, so it's not really affecting our market.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and congratulations to the SA government in legislating that these betting sites can't operate in South Australia currently, but that doesn't mean to say that we won't be able to continue to protect ourselves in that area. So, government could make a decision to change that tact, but currently we've got a number of other states that we're talking to, and also a number of senators that are getting on board with this synthetic lotto area as well.
So really the posters and so forth, the campaign you're running here is just to keep the pressure on the government? Oh,
look, I need to be clear. The campaign is currently being driven is by TATS Group themselves. So they're the one that have put out the posters nationwide as such, apart from WA. But the ALNA as a group, we've been talking about this for over a year and talking to government. I even met with the Attorney General's office in Darwin late August because NT is where these licences are actually approved. And so we've made it as clear as possible through dialogue and through written communication by a National Policies Manager to the government that, these monies, they're not going to where normal lotteries business goes to, where we get tax revenue generated by these, which help pay for schools, hospitals, roads, charitable causes. These synthetic lottos are an online bookmaker, and no money goes towards any of the state revenue tax that we currently get Australia-wide through the lot or the TATS Group. Okay,
so you're also obviously campaigning then federally to get the federal government to step in. I believe you've had some support from Nick Xenophon?
Yeah, absolutely. Nick's got on board and we've been speaking to him for some time. We've also had some dialogue with Pauline Hanson just recently. So, we're getting some really good groundwork here going on, and I think the bottom line is that the odds of winning these would be so much slimmer probably than the odds of winning your normal lottery. But the bottom line, of course, is what I've said, is online bookmakers. They're certainly just offering bets on lottery outcomes, and that's it.
Let's have a talk to Dini Sulio, the Commission for Business and Business Services, Consumer and Business Services here in South Australia. Commissioner, what's the situation? We've legislated against this organisation. Do you agree that the comments that Colin was making, that it's not good in the big picture of things?
Thanks, Alan. Yeah, I mean, I think part of the concern is certainly we were looking at Lottoland last year, who they can't offer products South Australians because of the legislation in South Australia. But what was happening is that people thought they were basically buying tickets in, I think it was a $292 million lottery in the US last year sometime, and Lottoland were offering bets on that. People thought they were buying a ticket into the lottery. So there's an issue just in relation to what people's understanding of the product they're buying. But also it needs to be clear that this is a betting product. It's not approved in South Australia, and I think other states are also looking at it. I see some publication from WA where they're looking at whether it should be banned in WA as well, and obviously federally it's being looked at. And it's adding another betting product into a very already congested betting arena in Australia, and I think that's part of the concern. But certainly it's also the fact that there's no guarantee. If someone won the $292 million, I'm not sure we know how much is behind Lottoland as to whether they can pay out on the $292 million as well. I saw some literature from them saying that they've got a $150 million insurance policy. There's that sort of thing that is a bit of a concern in relation to how they operate and what protections are in place for punters.
Yeah, I understand they're registered in the Northern Territory because the regulations are a bit bit more laxed there, but there's a bit of pressure on the Northern Territory government to have another look at it as well. So if let's just sort of make this clear, if they had have said that they're actually a betting organisation, they probably would have got the tick of approval?
No, because certainly in South Australia they can't bet. You can't bet on things that aren't approved contingencies. So betting on the outcome of, for example, lotteries is not approved in South Australia. Okay. So they couldn't, even if it was clear that, even if their advertising was clear to say you are betting on these numbers coming up rather than buying a ticket into the lottery, they're still not approved to do that in South Australia. Okay, all right. Well, listen, thanks for clearing that up for us, and thanks for your time this afternoon. Not a problem. Thank you.
Good on you. And Colin, thanks for your time too. It's certainly an interesting debate. And so now if we see these posters driving around on the back of trucks and four-wheel drives and so forth, you'll know what it's all about. Colin Shipton from the South Australian General Manager of the Australian Lottery and News Agents Association. Thanks so much for your time. And also Denny Sulio, the Commissioner of Business Services, Consumer and Business Services.